We started a couple of days ago the halachas of stealing, so I'd like to continue. I want to go through as many halachas as I possibly can. I would love to be able to explain the marmakomis, the hezbollah, the understanding behind it, but it's impossible to do that because I want to just go through so many halachas, and I want to go through the ones that maybe we don't even recognize as being a shaila of stealing. And therefore I'd like to try to get to as much as I possibly can. So we'll start like this. Which means people think that if it's not worth anything, or if it's not worth a shava pruta, so it's not going to din mominus. There's no chalois of a din mominus over there, if you want to speak up yeshivish. It's not true. Even if a person steals something that is worth less than a shava pruta nowadays is somewhere between 10 and 30 agarot. It's not that much. Okay, you can mekadosh a woman. I wouldn't recommend this, but you can mekadosh a woman with 10 agarot. Again, don't try this one at home. Not a good idea. By the way, when I was giving Daf Yomi Sheh, when I was giving Daf Yomi Sheh on Kiddushin, so we started Daf Base. Said, Rabbi, I'm very, very excited. Why am I excited? Because this is the Masechta that we're going to find the makar for getting down on one knee. Because it's Masechta's Kedushin, it's got to be here somewhere, right? So as we went through the Masechta, every 20, 30 blah, I'm like, we didn't find it yet, but Mustama, we're going to get there. By the last Daf, I said, Rabbi, I don't know, we never found it here. We never found a makar that zachiv to get down on one knee when you propose. And if it's not in Masechtas Kedushin, and we did already Ksubas, so then, I don't know, must be, it's in Hollywood. Okay, point taken. Let's move on, Rabbi Isai. So Hakaboni, when it talks about the inyan of stealing, even when a person steals something worth less than a shava pruta, Avada Shulchan Aruch paskins alocha namaisa. Shouldn't test in Choshen Mishpat, Shulchan Aruch paskins that is also to steal something even less than a shava pruta. However, there are certain exceptions. For example, how about, for example, a guy, your roommate has a pack of toothpicks, right, or an earbud, or something like that. Something that he's so not makbid, and you know he's not makbid. If you know he's makbid, Aruch HaShulchan says, got to be very careful. But if he's not makbid, and you know he's not makbid, to take a toothpick, or to take something similar to that, like a match, for example, out of a matchbox, or a spoon, he has a whole pack of spoons next to his bed, or something similar to that, you know he's not makbid, then Avada, then the poskim are makel in such a case. That being said, there is a midas chasidus not even to take that. Even if you know he's not makbid, unless of course he says to you, please take whatever you want, or whatever it may be, or gives it to you. But if you didn't get that explicit permission, there's a midas chasidus. It's mutter, but there's a midas chasidus not even to take something in the similarity of that. Now, next, Rabbi Yisai, again, like I said, I'm going to try to fly through as much as I can. The Gemara in Baba Kama in 100 days, Be'ezus Hashem, Kuf Yud Gimel, we're going to get to it, that talks about stealing from a goy. There is no heta to steal from a goy, and in fact, even more, it could be when you steal from a goy, there could be isurim, of course, of Chil Hashem, which is, look at the Rambam, Hilchos Tshuva, Perek Gimel, Oy Vavoy. It's one of the worst, and therefore a person should distance himself tremendously from anything that has a shaykhas towards stealing from a goy, but there is no heta to steal from a goy. Nishtar Zazach, it doesn't exist. Let's move on, Rabbi Isai, to some other examples that could be nageya. Cutting in line. What's the din if there's a line in the store of the pizza store and it's a little bit of a bilbul, it's a little bit of a confusion, no one knows exactly what it is, slip it a bit over there. Or even maybe sometimes if the worker even says to me, you can come in. So the Meister of Elyashiv Zatzal Paskin, that could be a shayla of avak gezel, because you are stealing. What does that mean? That, again, to go into the Indian I can't, but he talks about the idea of chotosh balabayis, that if you're in the place of the owner and you're going against his das, that's called stealing, right? Which is why generally the guy that owns the pizza store doesn't want people to start pushing in line because it's going to cause a whole problem. So you're going against his das. It's similar, by the way, for those people that call up Erev Shabbos and they want to go along and they're very much adlokas haneris on Shabbos, which is a beautiful thing. On Shabbos, Chav Gimel tells us all about it. Being careful of Shabbos nevis is a gewaltige Sache. Shabbos and Chanukah, of course. But our component people are makbid, they go to a hotel, they're like, say that I light in my room. That could be an issue of stealing. Forget about whether you're Yotza, Bitzah, Bar, Vaveira, Hadlokas, and Erev Shabbos, I have no idea. But it could be that you're over on stealing because most hotels will not allow you to light a candle for good reasons in your room. And therefore, again, you are not allowed to be over on the das of the balabayas. It could be an issue of stealing when a person cuts in the line. There's a Maisa once, the Stipler, the father of Chaim Kanievsky, so the Stipler one time was in a line and they saw the Rebbe, they saw the Stipler, they said, Rebbe, please come to the front. He looked at the guy next to him, he says, they want to turn us into Gazlonim. him. That's what he said. Partially because of this. You have to be very, very careful when it comes to these sorts of things, not to do all of these things. Again, sometimes it will be mutter, sometimes there'll be a situation where it's okay, especially if they know and the owner and whatever, there can be different attain. But again, Rabbi said, like I said, we're running through many of the halachas. When a person works in a institution, in an office, in a place, and he takes things without permission, whether it be a pen, a paper clip, or anything for that matter. People think when I'm working in a place, so I can slip in my bag a few things and I'll bring it home, it's geschmack. There's no heta for a person to do that, again, unless the owner of the business has said to you clearly that it's okay, take whatever you want, it's all good, it's fine. If you know that's the case, that's something else. But generally that's not the case, and if you don't know for sure, a person has to be very, very careful to take equipment and anything of supplies from the business that you are working. Chazal, the Gemara in Brachas that Vavam Abeis tell us that if a person says shalom to you, says hello, and you don't respond, that is called stealing. Okay, so again, Rabbi said we started the shift. You remember a couple of days ago, we don't steal, it's not Nageya. How many times maybe as a person said to us, good morning, hello, and we just ignored him, and that's called, the Gemara calls that stealing in that case, right? Even more than that, right? The Gemara in Brachas Laman Hey, for those of you that are not there yet, the Gemara in Brachas Laman Hey says that if a person is nenem oilem hazeh, if you don't make a bracha on the food that you eat, if you eat something and you don't make a bracha, the Gemara says, Ki'ilu goyzel ma'kodesh baruch hu. It's like Ki'ilu you're stealing from Hashem. It's a terrible, terrible thing, or the person has to be careful of that. The Medrash Tanchuma in Parshas Bamidbar brings down that if a person says over a Torah and doesn't say it b'shem Amrei, right? But I'll upon him many marmakomis for this. A person says Torah without the person who says it over, who told it to him, it's called stealing. Gezel Shena. What's Gezel Shena? Does it exist? Even, is there a concept of stealing somebody's sleep? People are very quick to say, Gezel Shena! So Rav Wosner has a tshuva, Gavaldige tshuva in Shevet Alevi Chelik Zayin, where he says there is no makar for stealing when it comes to stealing somebody's sleep, because stealing has to be tangible. However, that doesn't mean that it's okay, because there's no nice tvarim, there's nezek, there's all terrible things, and a person has to be careful. In fact, I'll tell you a very scary thing. I don't know why I'm saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. My Rosh Yeshiva Rav Steinberg Zatzal used to say that sometimes in life, later on in life, things happen to him. Sorrows, pain, difficulties, and he wonders, like, what's the pshat? Why am I going through these terrible times? Why am I going through such sorrows? Like, it doesn't make any sense. There's no reason to I deserved it, whatever. So Rav Steinberg Zatzal could be that when he was a Bach in Yeshiva, he maybe woke someone up, or maybe he stopped someone from going to sleep, or maybe it was a bad influence on him, whatever it was, and he stopped his steiging. He prevented that boy from steiging, or many, many boys. And because of that, that boy will never become who he could have become, and that's attributed to that boy, and that could cause tremendous sorrows in a person's life later on in life. It's a very scary thing, but Rav Steinberg said it, so that's why I'm repeating it over. But Al Kaponim Gezel Shena is not Gezel als Hilchas Gzela, but it's Isra of Oynos Tevarim, which is a Shalav Daraisa, and of course Nezek, that a person has to be careful. Using a staircase or an elevator in a room or in a building without permission as a shortcut, right? And here in Eretz Yisrael, very common, right? Because you've got buildings that start in one floor, end up on another floor. So if you're like, now how do I get over to the street? Good, I'll take the elevator up to the Knesset and I'll be on the other side of the street. Again, some places don't mind. Most places do, because otherwise it uses a lot of electricity, elevators, a lot of electricity, and that is a shaila of pure outright stealing. To take somebody's newspaper. You see this again, unfortunately, all the time. Right here, they have the newspapers outside the apartment building. In each one, people chop it out. They spend a few minutes. I walk to yeshiva. I see a lot of people doing this all the time. Could be they have permission. Could be it's their own mailbox. They don't want to bring it to the house. Ich weiß nicht. But I'm going to try to be donekaf schus. But if a person takes a newspaper that doesn't belong to him and he takes it and reads it, generally the owner is going to be makbid on that because he doesn't want anyone to read all of his. We need to take out his newspapers, his magazines before he's taken it himself. After a chasana, right? What about this? Rav Wosner Shevet Alevi Chelik Dalet Semukuf Samachet discusses the shaila. A person goes to a chasana, so his own portion that he has, he can take left over, he can take it to his wife, take it kids, that's fine. But to go around and start chopping a few things, Rav Wosner says, I don't know if there's a heta for that. I know people pay us per portion, so it could be a shaila that every portion that they take is going to be allotted from the bill. You're taking home that the owner of the Baal Simcha wants you to take home stuff that he's going to be charged for because you want your wife and kids. Maybe they were invited, different shaila. Rabbi said a lot of different shailas go into that, but I'm Pasha giving you some of the Havaminas. Rav Menashe Klein Zatzal, the Mishnah Halachas Chelik Zayin, discusses the shaila of taking a photo of someone against his will when he clearly says to you, please do not do this. Now I'm not discussing Al Pi Kabbalah. I'm not going to say, when I was in yeshiva, there was a gadol, right, the Chedushay Basar Revel Tuski Zatzal, who was very, very makpid al pi Kabbalah, that nobody should take pictures of him because it's brought down al pi Kabbalah that if they're a picture of you in this world, they're not going to let you into the next world, right? So look, there were many gedolim that had such anhaga not to allow pictures of themselves in this world. In fact, I remember somebody came to take a picture of him without him knowing about it. He told me after that it actually didn't come out. It didn't work, it was all blurry, it didn't go. But Lamaisa, taking a picture, if someone clearly says, please do not do this, and you do it anyway, that could be a shayla havamina in the Mishnah halachas of a person could be over and stealing. Taking from a yeshiva kitchen, right, without permission, Shevet HaLevi brings this in Chelik Vav Sim Kuf Sama Gimel, that if a person walks into yeshiva kitchen and just takes food, I pay tuition. Doesn't work that way. No yeshiva allows the person to walk into the kitchen and just take food whenever they don't. No hotel allows, even though you pay for the hotel food as well. But Vosner Shevet HaLevi says it very clearly that it's a shayla of stealing. Borrowing something, or should we say better, buying something that is stolen, right? The Gemara in Baba Kama, right? We'll get there in 18 days, in 14 days. Kufyat Chesama base that says clearly that if Lamaisa, a person, buys something that was originally stolen, if you know it was stolen, if you don't know it's another shayla, then a person could be over on stealing in that case. Using somebody's property without permission. Person that uses someone's property, go into someone's property without all of these things. Most Rishonim, the Rashbam, the Rambam, the Rif, and others hold that we're dealing with the shayla of Gezel over there. By the way, Gezela applies even if you intend on returning it. I'm just taking it for a few minutes. I'm going to return it in the best way. Exceptions are things that people don't mind. For example, if your roommate has a Nagelwasser cup, so you know that he's not mad, but it's not going to get ruined, that's okay. Or mitzvahs, the Gemara in Ksubas talks about this also. People want mitzvahs to be done with their properties, and therefore people don't mind generally if you use their svarim, of course if you're careful and you don't ruin it, and it's not something that hasn't been bound and it's in a bad situation, but generally people are okay with the fact that they're doing mitzvahs. But Rabbi say, these are just many, many, many examples of many more examples that we could say of things that a person requires a little bit of sensitivity to realize that the property in this world that belongs to me is mine, and of course that belongs to somebody else does not belong to me, and a person should be ultra sensitive. The Heilige Chofetz Chaim one time was staying in an inn and he deposited money with the innkeeper. And at the end of his stay, he started leaving, he went into the horse and cart, and the innkeeper owner was like, hey, why is the Chofetz Chaim not coming to collect the money that he deposited with me at the beginning of his stay? So he started again and said, Rebbe, you didn't take your money. So the Chofetz Chaim said like this, it was a large sum of money. The Chofetz Chaim said, there's a halacha that when you deposit money with someone, you need to do it with Eidim. You don't do it with Eidim so that there's no machlokes after. I forgot that to do that. I didn't have any Eidim. Memela was immediately mafka the money. I said, I'm not going to get involved in shaylas of stealing, maybe it doesn't belong to me. I was mafka. The guy was running after him, throwing it into the wagon, saying I'm mafka. The Chofetz Chaim saying I'm mafka. I got some so why? Because he was choishish maybe. Right? Everyone knows that the Chofetz Chaim would sell his svarim, his Mishnah Berurahs, his Shmir Zalosh and the Chofetz Chaim, and he would check every page to make sure that Chas v'Sholom he wasn't stealing from anyone. Because otherwise he doesn't want to come back into this world. He understood what it means to come back to the world when we steal, when we're not sensitive to other people's properties. It's a very, very important thing. The Heilige Rav Avraham Mikarlin once said, Erev Pesach, when he was busy emptying the pockets by Bedikas by Sreifas Chometz, a minig to empty the pockets. And Rav Avraham Karlin once said, and he was crying at the time, that he said a person at the same time also has to think, empty his pockets from anything that might not belong to him, something that he may have taken or used that didn't belong to him. A person has to be ultra careful. Rav Shmuel Schwab once said over that when we get to Shemayim, we know one of the first questions we're going to be asked is, did we deal, Renasata ve'emunah, did we lamaisa deal with business be'emunah, right, in the straight possible way? So most people, he says, learn it as, did you do business in a straight way? Were you erlich and all these sorts of things? Did you not steal? Avada, that's a very important chelik of emunah. But he says there's another chelik and there's another meaning to that question, and that is, when a person did business, did he actually do it with emunah that everything is coming from the Rabbeinu Shalom? The Gemara, the Soif Masechtas Ksubas, there's many marmakomis about this, tells us that we have to understand that our parnasa comes solely and only from the Rabbeinu Shalom. And if we realize and if we think that the more hishtadlus and the more work we put in and the greater chachma we put in into our work makes us more money, then we are mamish chas v'sholem being like a kofer, says Reb Schwab Zatzal, because it means we didn't do business with emunah. Emunah means we believe in hashgacha pratis, we believe in the Rabbeinu Shalom. Avada, we have to hishtadlus. Avada, we have to do what we have to make money. But more than that, no. To go over the people do business deals and they do all sorts of shticks and they change dates and they do zachem when they find loopholes in the legal system to see how they they can get out of things, Rabbi said be very careful. If the Rabbi Shalom is giving our parnasa, it's irrelevant, lemaisa, how much ishtadlus, although we have to do ishtadlus. Ultimately, everything comes from Hashem. Let's be ultra sensitive and be careful with other people's property to make sure we don't touch and have anything that does not belong to us. And Be'ez Hashem, the Rabbi Shalom should give us siyata d'shmaya, that through that we'll have all tremendous parnasa and a wonderful, happy life.